this is the domestic terminal of the airport here in Manila. Actually, it is not a separate terminal. Both domestic and international departures are in the same building, and not a very big building at that. Really, it's strange that for a population that's larger than that in Thailand, you've got both domestic and international departures in the same building. Look at the chaos. It's 5:20. I've arrived in Davao, hometown of former President Rodrigo Duterte. Let's hope we won't run into any demonstrations. Anyway, nothing to be too worried about. All this very normal for a democratic country. Now let's see how I can get a Grab to my hotel. Alright, I've just checked into my hotel. This place is included in the climbing package. Right, my guide booked it for me, so don't expect it to be too luxurious. Alright, let's check it out. The thing that impressed me about this place is that it's very clean, very neat and very clean. And look at that ancient aircon there. You can hear the sound. It's so noisy. Okay. The bed here is nice and clean, right? Very comfortable. Anyway, I'm checking out at 5 a.m. tomorrow and start going off to the base camp of Mt Apo. And they have even got a little table here to do some writing, even a TV. Very, very basic. But most of the stuff that you need can be found here. Okay, the toilet, let's see where's the switch here. Okay. Again, no frills, but everything functional. They have a shower with hot water as well. Yep. So only gonna stay here for a night. In fact, only gonna stay here for a few hours, and tomorrow I'll be off to climb the mountain. This one? No.
Wala ba yung chorizo?
Budding.
Yeah.
Yeah, budding. No, lady.
Oh, yeah. Two?
Okay, this is the real lady.
Yeah, that's right. What's this?
Oh, okay. Oh, squeeze the lemon into the spicy beef soup. And chicken adobo. Hello. Morning. What's your name?
Roy.
Roy. Okay, Roy is my guide for Mount Apo. Oh, that's squid. Squid and chicken. Oh. Is that chicken?
Yeah, this is chicken. This is spicy.
Yeah?
This is a chicken.
Chicken.
Yeah.
And this is squid.
You want? Wait.
No.
No?
That's old chunky Filipino style. Right, it's 8:05 and we've just started our climb. That's Roy, the guide in front, and our porter.
Dad.
What's your name?
Ray.
Raymond. Okay.
Son of Bajilan.
Huh?
Son of Bajilan.
Son of
Bajilan.
Bajilan. Okay. Yeah. 8:30. After half an hour's trek, we arrived at this village, and you can hear all the motorbikes. Actually, we could have taken a motorbike up here. Alright, it was a pretty steep climb to the first village of Kolan, and now we are making our way out of Kolan to the next village. Time now is 9:08. We have reached the end of the cultivated area. This is the last village, Tumpis, before we enter the forest. Check out the steepness of this stretch. Alright, 9:57, almost 10 o'clock, we have reached our first shelter. There's a clearing in front. I guess you can camp here as well. Not too difficult a climb. Certain steep stretches, but on the whole, quite alright. The good thing about Mount Apo is that there is water supply available everywhere. Every shelter, every stop here, there is natural spring water. So there's no need to carry any water supply up here. Really convenient. Good. Look at that sea of mud. Right, 10 minutes past 10. This is the first e-camp Basakan. 9 kilometers to the summit. .30. This is Buga Anan E-Camp. 8.6 kilometers to the summit. Alright, from the first E-Camp to this second E-Camp, it's a punishing Agung-like root stairs kind of climb. So quite punishing. Alright, you can hear the background music from the forest, and no wonder my guide calls this forest camp, so there's no name, and this will be where we are having our lunch. 11:35, another steep and punishing climb from our lunch stop at the forest camp, and this is the next E-Camp, Big Rock E-Camp, 6 kilometers before the summit. Looks like there's a cave here. Okay, it looks like some people have actually sheltered inside. I see a bit of rubbish and some burnt wood. Probably another 1.5 hours before we reach our campsite to pitch our tents and rest for the night. We're still in the realm of moss and ferns, so probably barely above 2,000 meters. .40, and we're finally rewarded for all that punishing climb. Our tents have been set up by our porter Ray, and I guess that's our kitchen area. Oh, all set up for the night, and we are just past noon, which means that we've been moving very fast. In fact, I think I'm the first one here today. Alright, time to put down my bag and change out of these wet clothes. All right, they provide all the basic stuff, right? We got tent, we got the mattress here, and sleeping bag. Okay, they don't provide pillows, so I brought my own. This one I bought from Shopee. Very useful. Let me show you. Okay, let's deflate it first. Now to inflate it, you can either blow through here, or it's partially inflated. Okay, you can pump from here. Right, you can pump from here, and actually it's quite slow. So if I'm in a hurry, I would rather blow to inflate. Okay, so this I brought myself. Right, most of the trekking agencies or the companies will not provide pillows, so bring your own pillow. And this is the sleeping bag they provided, and it is quite useless when it comes to keeping warm. Look at this. Right, no fluff at all. So you got to keep your down jacket or whatever thermals on when you're sleeping. Okay, let me change out of these wet clothes first. So on this trip, I brought a 2-layered jacket. The inside, I'm not very sure what material this is, but it looks like fleece. Okay, that's the inner layer, the thermal, and it can be zipped together with this outer shell layer. So if it's not too cold, it should be quite sufficient. Probably up to about 0 degrees should be quite sufficient. Yeah, but just in case, kiasu a bit, I brought my very old down vest. Okay, the one with the reflective inner layer. The reflective layer is all gone already, so it's not that effective anymore. But I brought it just in case. Anyway, don't expect it to be very cold. Probably down to about 4 degrees. Yeah. Okay, so these I will keep. And now nice and dry, ready for the night. And it's only 1 o'clock. Okay, all the others are not here yet. I'm the first to arrive at the campsite. So that's why it's so quiet. And my guide has also picked a quiet corner away from where all the other tents are, so that we can have hopefully a good half a night's sleep. Okay, so for the rest of the afternoon, I guess I'll just sip some tea and chit-chat with my guide. Don't know what to do. Now, the altitude of Mount Apo is just shy of 3,000 meters. Don't let that fool you. Never underestimate this mountain. So I certainly don't advise anybody with no experience to try this mountain. It's going to kill you. Or rather, it's going to make you curse and swear, and it's going to make you cry. So don't do it unless you have the experience. So by experience, I don't mean Kinabalu, because Kinabalu is so tame, so easy in a way. You know, it may be high, but it's all very well manicured. The steps are all cut for you. So over here, it's wild. It's really wild. So you got to manage, overcome all these obstacles in the form of tree roots, traversing the paths, making very steep stretches. And on top of that, you have mud. You really have mud everywhere. So mud, apart from sucking your feet in, it can also make you slip and fall. So every step, every moment, you have to be focused, totally focused on keeping your balance so that you don't fall. And because of all these reasons, it's definitely a very challenging climb. So don't attempt it unless you have some experience on a similar mountain. By a similar mountain, I would mean something like Kerinci in Sumatra,
and that one is also very muddy. There are many muddy stretches, and it's very steep in places. Another mountain would be Agung. Another tough mountain would be Agung. By Agung, I don't mean the crater rim track. I mean the true summit track from Besaki. That one, the steepness is quite similar to Apo, but the mud is missing. So with a bit of steepness, a bit of mud, if you've got the kind of experience, then you're ready for Apo. If not, don't attempt it. It's the 3rd of April. Now it's about 2:20 a.m. and we're setting off to the treeline, or better known as the boulders area. So it's called the boulders for a good reason. You'll see why in a moment. And my guide Roy has just prepared breakfast, and we're packing it up to consume at the boulders area. As you can see, this campsite is still nowhere near the tree line. Tree line is about 1 hour's walk away. Very tough mountain to climb. The boulders area will be another challenge. Right, time now is 3:30. We started at 2:30, so took us 1 hour to reach the boulders area. Still very dark here. We'll wait here for a while before we embark on our boulders trek. Alright, this is the start of the boulders, and here are some of the boulders. And I can smell the hydrogen sulfide coming out from some vent, I think. Alright, we're tackling the boulders now. Very steep and certain stretches quite dangerous. I can feel the steam and also smell the hydrogen sulfide gas. The Mt Apo is an extinct volcano, but there's still some remnant activity in the form of fumaroles and steam vents. And this is one of them. I reckon only an inch across, but you can feel the steam coming out. And there's also a smell of hydrogen sulfide. All this is of course a solidified lava. The edges can be quite sharp. 5:05, we have arrived at our originally intended breakfast point, but our guide, or my guide, thinks that we should have breakfast on the summit. There's a glimmer of light on the horizon, the eastern horizon. And you see all the twinkling lights below. That's Davao. Look at this, so harshly beautiful. Amazing. But imagine you have to climb up all this. Definitely no child's play. see all the boulders colored by the rising sun, and that's the eastern horizon. Amazing. The boulders have put on an orange colored makeup. So beautiful and yet so deadly. It's a hostile landscape, unforgiving towards the weak. And there's also a pungent odor of hydrogen sulfide in the air. This is heaven. This is hell. Now it's 6:08, finally some flat ground, and our breakfast spot is nearby. Look at that, it's almost vertical. Time now is 6:40 and we have arrived at the crater lake. This is also our breakfast spot. What a scenic spot to have breakfast. And after this we'll head for the summit. The summit is in view. That's the summit. 7:05. We are practically a stone's throw from the summit, and these are the walls of the crater, and that's the crater which used to be spewing fumes, but the volcano has died and water collected, forming this lake. The water is extremely clear. I can see the bottom of the lake, and I reckon it's less than a meter deep, probably about 2 to 3 feet. 10 minutes past 7 and I can see a green signboard. Let's go check it out. Welcome to Mt Apo summit. Ooh. Yes, Mt Apo summit. Let's check out the signboard. Ooh. Made it. my guide just told me that that green signboard actually doesn't mark the true summit on Mount Apo. This is the true summit of Mount Apo, and I trekked for another 25 minutes or so to get here. The true summit of Mount Apo. Everybody went to the false one. Yes, this looks higher than the other one. So the one we went just now is over there, and it definitely looks lower than this one. This one is the true summit, the highest point of Mount Apo. Let's see. The signboard is faded quite a bit, so you can't see it clearly. But over here, the signboard that has fallen, it marks, even though it doesn't look very presentable, it marks the true summit of Mount Apo. Alright, I'm back from the summit. Just had my lunch, and it's been a very intense morning. Started off at 2:30 a.m. It's totally dark, and the first part of the trek was very challenging, even compared to yesterday's muddy route ladders. The route ladders this time were even longer and steeper. So after tackling the route ladders, passing the second campsite, which was totally deserted because there is no water supply, so nobody wanted to camp there. And after passing that, more route ladders until we reached the boulders area. The boulders area is a very unique feature of Mount Apo. I've never encountered them on any of the Indonesian volcanoes that I've climbed. So it's a very interesting encounter, and it's also an encounter that presented a new set of challenges. Okay, so we had to do a lot of bouldering in this forest of huge rocks. Reminded me of Kyrgyzstan. Very, very taxing. And on the right side of this of the boulders, which is on the left side, of course, during the descent, I noticed that there was a river of sulfur vents So the whole thing looked like a yellow glacier on the side of the boulders. So it emitted quite a bit of sulfur dioxide, hydrogen sulfide. So it was a little bit choking sometimes, but not too bad. Well, after clearing the boulder area, which was very tiring, we arrived at the crater lake at about 6+. Now we had our breakfast by the lakeside and proceeded to climb to the summit, which wasn't too far away. And after climbing the summit and taking pictures, my guide strongly suggested that we climb another summit. He had a reason for doing that. So I was tired, very tired, but not exhausted yet. So I went for it. So after climbing that peak, I saw a very badly weathered signboard that also said Mt Apo Summit. Now, according to my guide, the second summit that I climbed is the true summit of Mt Apo. And looking over to the first summit that I climbed, it was very obvious that the second summit was higher. Now, the first summit had a very nice and new signboard, whereas on the true summit, the signboard was very badly weathered and faded. I was wondering why they made everyone climb the fake summit. So if you're climbing Mount Apo, make sure you tell your guide that you want the true summit. You should climb both summits, climb the fake one so that you can take a nice picture with the signboard. And then after that, just to be true to yourself, you climb the true summit. (7:07), we are at the last e-camp from the campsite, the nearest e-camp from the campsite on the descent. So descent is not as easy as it looks, even though gravity is on your side. Well, when gravity is on your side, it also makes you fall easily on all these very slippy routes. Very deceptive looking. They can be very slippery. Let's hope we can reach the start point, which is also our end point today, in about 2 hours' time. See my bent trekking pole? Don't be a stick in the mud. 8:04 and 1 hour into our descent. The last e-camp, I think, on the descent is right in front. Okay, let me figure out how I'm going to cross this obstacle without getting wet and muddy, of course.
Oh. From the food. Ada sabaw. Jangan dah.
Morning.
Coba.
8:30 and we have arrived at Tumpis.
Good morning. Hello. Hey. Hello. Hello.
You're fast. Okay. See you tomorrow. How many days were you on the road? Hello.
3 days, 2 nights.
And it was easy, huh?
You find out. You find out. Enjoy yourself. Try to enjoy yourself. Okay, bye bye.